Well, welcome back to the Ranger Stronghold scenario replay. This is your host, ID Jester. That's me. And we will be starting here the first turn of our Ranger Stronghold scenario. As you can see, we got the counters on the map. I've actually debated quite a bit about the American setup. The German setup was kind of easy, setting up so that his squads are as far forward as they could, keeping his tanks slightly back so the Americans wouldn't have easy access to them. So after the Germans set up the American, I debated whether or not I should keep units up in the front lines to try and slow down their advance, or to keep the units kind of hidden in the back so they can get concealment counters on them. And in the long run, after debating back and forth for some time, I finally decided to go ahead with this setup. After that, you can see that right now there's no units that have line of sight to the other side. So they're all going to be positioned under concealment counters. We have initiated the sniper on the board at this point. You can see up at the top we've got some counters up here. We have our turn track. We have our phase disc here on the axis side, and I think we're ready to go. As a general note, I might be putting the video on pause occasionally to double check a rule or decide what to do. I'm going to try and keep these videos kind of shortish. And I think the first couple turns might take a little while as we go through some of the things. I'll probably explain certain aspects of the rules or certain things that I'm doing. Eventually, I think hopefully we can work through that and just move forward a little bit faster throughout the scenario. I have no idea how well everything's going to play out, being in charge of both sides and keeping track of units information and movement factors and movement points and everything else all by myself. I'm sure occasionally I'll forget a rule here or there, so if you do see something, please do post or send a message to me so that I can talk about the correction in the next video. Well, I guess we're ready to start her up, see how things go here. Hopefully we have a little fun, learn a little bit about what's going on, and hopefully people find this interesting enough that you get to watch through this series and figure out how well each side's doing, and hopefully we'll get to see some of these different rules of the ASL system and how the flow of the game happens. Hopefully it'll be educational for everybody involved, and hopefully we'll have a lot of fun. Well, let's get her started here. Axis turn 1. First thing we're going to do is rally phase. It should be noted, though, I'm not sure I mentioned this or not, but the American player did deploy one of his units, one of his full squads into two half squads. The German player declined to deploy anything. So here we go, rally phase. The first thing we're going to do is roll for environmental conditions here. And we rolled a 4-4, just for all of you who are new to Vassal. Colored dice is always the first dice. White dice is always the second one. Always, always. So colored dice first, so it'll be colored dice 4, white dice 4. So no environmental conditions. The German player decides that he wishes to do nothing else for his rally. So he passes to the American player. The American player chooses to also decline any rally attempts. And we'll move on to the prep fire phase. Prep fire phase, this is going to be kind of a quick phase because, as you can see, nobody actually has line of sight to one another, so there's no need to have any kind of prep fire. So we're going to go right into the next phase, which is the movement phase. Movement phase by the German player. Okay, so we've got quite a stack of units here. These units here are going to move, W7, they're going to move together with the leader so they can get the leadership bonus. When you move squads, normally 4 movement factors, they get a bonus of 2 if they start and move with the leader and end with the leader. So they'll have 6 movement factors to expend. Single man counters have 6 movement factors as well. So he will move into that hex for 1. He will then move into this hex for 2. Again, these are shell hole hexes. You have the option of entering with either 1 movement factor or 2 movement factors. If you choose 1 movement factor, then you are considered moving in the open. If you choose 2 movement factors, you would not take the move in the open penalty if somebody was going to fire at you. So that's 2 movement factors, 3 movement factors to go there, 4 movement factors to go there. Again, these units don't have line of sight to one another because of the rule I like to call the Grand Canyon effect. Unless you're on the edge of the Grand Canyon, you can't see down into it. This unit's at level 1. There's a level 1 hex, so you can't see beyond the level 1 hex. So again, moving 4 movement factors are there and spending 2 more to move into that hex. He immediately puts the American player on the spot. Because he has now moved in that hex, the American player can then choose to defensive first fire into that hex. He is non-assault moving, so he'd get a bonus of -1 for that. There'd be a bonus, or there'd be a penalty of 1 TEM for the woods hex, so it'd be a straight shot based on his firepower. But of course, if he fired, then he would lose his concealment. At this point, the German player also loses his concealment because he's moved into line of sight of an enemy unit. So the American's on the spot. What does he do? Does he wish to defensive first fire onto that stack, or does he want to see how everybody else moves first? If he takes his shot now, he'd get the bonus. If he chooses not to first fire, he would not get the bonus in the defensive fire phase if he so chooses to defensive fire. If he does defensive fire, then he'll lose his concealment counter. So again, a lot of issues and problems right off the bat, trying to decide what he thinks he wants to do. And the American player has chosen not to defensive fire. So at that point, the German player will then move over to this stack here. Of course, you don't have to move your counters all in one stack, but in this case we are. He's going to spend 1 movement point to move there, spend 2 to enter the woods, so that's 3 total, and another 2 to move into that woods for 5 total. And again, the American player has line of sight. He could choose to defensive first fire on them if he wishes. The American player declines, and so the German player is ending his turn there. Now, let's see. Of course, he's going to lose his concealment counter because he's moved into line of sight of the Americans. And so now we're going to move on to the German units. Of course, you can move your units in any order you want, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and just move this concealment counter. Sometimes it's hard to move things around in Vassal with all these other counters on top of them. So he spends 1 movement point to start his vehicle. Notice he's got 14 movement points. 14 movement points. So 1 to start up. He's going to move in this hex for 1, so that's 2 total. He's going to spend another 1 movement point to move in that hex for 3. Another 1 for 4. Another 1 for 5. He is then going to rotate for 6. He's going to go there for 7. He's going to go in there for 8. He's going to go into that hex for 9. He's going to rotate for 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. He's completed his move. Notice he had not spent a movement point to stop, so he is considered in motion until next turn, so we'll put a motion counter on there. So he spent his 14 movement points. He's really hoping he doesn't get shot from behind, but he knows his squad's here. If we look at the German point of view here, if anybody comes to the edge of the hill, hopefully his squads will be able to take them out. And we do need to move up our units as fast as we can. He loses his concealment counter because he moves in the line of sight of an enemy. So just leave that off. Alright, let's look at the north flank here. The north flank. At this point, the German player could conceivably could take a shot with this vehicle. He could turn the turret over there and take a shot. It would be a pretty low shot because he's moved. He's still in motion. He's buttoned up. So at this point, the tank is going to decline shooting at this point. Basically, the German player is just trying to get all of his units in position during this first turn and see how that goes. Alright, what do we have up here at the top? We're going to have some issues, aren't we? Well, we've got to take some risks as the German player. We can't sit back. We have to kind of come out in the open a little bit, even though we probably don't want to. Alright, so these units are all actually going to move as a stack as well. They want the leadership bonus as well. They're going to go 1 to go there, 2 to go there, 3 to cross the hex side, and 2 to enter the building. So 5 to go in there. Again, American player has a choice whether or not he wants to defensive first fire into that hex. If he does, he loses his concealment. When the German player does advancing fire, there might even be a chance that that line of sight clips that woods hex there, so the American player declines to do defensive fire. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and remove this counter here too, just for a bit, because I'm going to be moving these guys, I think, individually now. So this squad is going to spend 1 to move there. It's going to bypass the U4, U5 hex side and the T4, U5 hex side for 1. So that's 2 movement points. And then he'll go into T5 for 2 more. So that's his 4 movement points to go there. Again, along the way, any of the Americans that might have been able to see him could have defensive fired, but still nobody in line of sight. Let's see here. We're going to take our 467 and his light machine gun. They're going to go 1, 2 to go there, 3 to go there. He is then going to declare CX, so he only gets 1 additional movement point. So 3 to go there, 2 to go in the woods for 4, 5. At that point, then this guy here will move. Gonna move some of the things out of the way so I can see. Alright, he's going to go 1 to go there, 2, 3 to go there, 2, 3. 4, 5. He'll move back in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll just go there. And they will be done. Alright, so far, not much action going on. Americans, just going to move the concealment out of the counter, out of the way so we can see this guy in action here. 1 to start up. 1 to go there for 2. 1 to go there for 3. 1 to go there for 4. 1 to go there for 5. 1 to go there for 6. 1 to go there for 7. Now puts the American back in pressure on the American again. Does he choose to shoot at this guy defensively? Maybe he's got a bazooka there, maybe he doesn't. Trying not to mouse over the concealment counters, so we don't know, because it's supposed to keep it hidden anyways. So it's 1 to start, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 so far. 7. But we've only been in his line of sight for 1 movement point, so the American chooses to decline. 8 movement points, he will stop, puts the American back in again. Does he choose to shoot? If we remember our bazooka counter, it's a 4 to hit. There's going to be some penalties for shooting at the moving vehicle. So he's choosing not to shoot, defensive fire. 9 movement points. 9th movement point, he delays again. American declines. 10th, delays. American declines. 11, 12, 13, 14. He delay. Again, the American has a 1 last opportunity. If you're going to shoot, it's just too far away and it's not worth a shot, so he declines. So at this point, the German is now going to shoot at the American hex. We have, if we look at our little chart here, 2 hit tables. He's got a +2 for case B. He has bounding first fire plus stabilized turrets. So that's another +2. He's +1 for being buttoned up, is +5. He's seen him within more than 3 movement points, so he doesn't have a penalty for that. He does have a +1 for the woods, so that's +6. I think that's everything. +6. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. So we'll take a +6. His normal 2 hit number on 0 through 6 sixes is 10. So rolling 2 dice to see if he hits. Main armament shooting HE. He rolled a 7, 6 is 13, so he misses. He does not get an acquisition marker because he shot in bounding first fire attack. He will then shoot his machine guns. His machine guns are both coax and his bow are facing the same direction, so he can shoot these. They're within range. So his 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 half for moving is 4 firepower. 4 firepower plus 1 for the woods. So it's a 4 plus 1 shot. He rolls an 8. 8 on the column, on the 4 column. 8 plus, what did he roll? He rolled a 8. He rolled an 8 plus 1 is a 9. On the 4 is nothing. So he misses with his machine guns. He misses with his main armament. He is done. Let's see. What else am I forgetting here? I think there might be line of sight between these two for loss of concealment. Let me check that. Nope, there isn't, so now we know. Alright. So nobody's seen them, so they'll keep their concealment. And I think everybody is moved. Move this off the board here. And we'll go ahead and go on to the defensive fire phase. So anybody without a first fired counter can go ahead and fire. Unfortunately, for the American, he doesn't have very many Germans still in line of sight. And if he does defensive fire, then he will lose his concealment counter. So American is going to decline. He really wants to keep these concealment counters for when the German fires at him, so he'll decline. Advancing fire. Alright, so anybody that had not prep fired can now fire. So we have a stack here in R8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18. 18 firepower. 18 firepower is going to be a 16 on the 16 column. There's a couple machine guns there we can get some rate of fire from. 2 light machine guns. Everybody is within normal range. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So normal range there. They're going to have -1 for their. First of all, they're half firepower. So what do we calculate there? 4, 8, 12, 30, 40, 50, 18. 18 halved is 9. 18 halved is 9 because it's advanced fire phase. And then they're going to be at half firepower again for shooting the concealment. So 9, half of 9 is 4.5. 4.5. It's going to be 4 column. +1 for shooting through the vehicle. And +1 for the, I believe that's a woods hex down there. Wood hex. So 4 column +2 shot. Let's see what happens here. Takes a shot. 8 + 2 is 10 on the 4 column. I'm sure that's a nothing. Yep, it's a nothing. So since they didn't get a result of pin task check or better, Americans do not lose their concealment counter, which is what they were hoping for. And since we did a line of sight check here for concealment, we know that these 2 units, if we remember, when he moved into that hex, we could check line of sight to see if he lost his concealment. We did a line of sight concealment check. But you notice it hit that woods, so there's no line of sight between these 2. So they can't fire at one another. And I think that is going to be all. Oh, wait, we do have somebody down here. If he wants to take a shot for a 12, half of 12 will be 6. Half of 6 will be 3. 3 column, it's going to be +1. For the woods, and they're going to be half firepower again for half range. So it'll be 12 down to 6 down to 3 down to 1.5. So it'll be a 1 column shot. So he's got a better chance of activating the American sniper. I calculated that kind of fast. Sorry about that. For those of you who are new, I'm trying to keep things moving. Let me just go through how I calculated that. We have a 12 firepower, 4, 8, 12. It's the advanced fire phase, so you lose half firepower. So 12, half is 6. You lose half your firepower for shooting at a concealed enemy. So half of 6 is 3. And then again, you notice our range is 4. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6 hexes away, so it would be half firepower. Half of 3 would be 1.5. There is no 1.5 column, so it would be a 1 column. So it would be a 1 plus a 1 for the woods. So not very good odds on getting a result there. So he's declining to shoot. So that's the advanced fire phase. Next phase is going to be the rout phase. Nobody needs to rout. Germans would go first, but in this case there is no rout. Americans would go next. They don't have anybody broken, so they don't need to rout. Next on to the advanced phase. The advanced phase, this stack here will advance into S1. Now they've got so wide a sight on that American unit. Let's see what we got here. We've got, let's bring this guy and this guy up here. But since we're advancing and it costs us, remember when we move uphill and it costs us double the normal cost, it costs us 2 normally to move into woods, so 2 doubled is 4, but it takes all your movement factors. You have to CX yourself, so he'll be CX to move up there. I think he will go ahead and do the same. And we might as well put the leader there. Okay. So they'll just all come up there. This guy here, he can't, if we move this, it's hard to see with the sniper counters in the way, but if he could CX up here, but that would leave him out in the open for the Americans. So he's going to just stay where he's at. He can't CX up there into that hill. So I think he'll be done. Let's see, these guys down here in the bottom. Well, this squad in T9 will go to S9. These squad here, all these guys. Of course, you can separate them as best you want, and you know what? That's what we will do. So if the American gets funky and starts coming over here, he might have several to shoot at, but he won't have everything to shoot at. So we'll go ahead and separate our units a little bit there. And I'm not sure this American can actually see either one of them. I think it might clip that edge there. Alright, so that's the advanced phase. Next phase is the close combat phase. No units are in the same hexes, so no close combat. Concealment growth. Concealment growth. Let's see here. Let's see. Oops, this guy would lose his concealment because it's hard to see when you're doing on Vassal. So please forgive me if I miss something here or there. It's not like seeing the actual counters. So he's not going to go row concealment. This guy here will actually get his concealment back. So we'll go ahead and put that underneath the counter, I bet. Not sure which way it goes, but there we go. Alright, so CX, nobody can see him. He's in concealing terrain. This guy here, I think he's also going to be concealed because he's in concealing terrain and not in the line of sight of anybody. There's a hill there that's going to block his line of sight. He can't see up the hill there. The only question would be these two here. Let's just do a line of sight check. Yeah, it is blocked. That's what I thought. But it just touches that little bit of the hill there, so these can't see each other. They can't see one another, so we'll go ahead and grow our concealment back. Let's see, did I miss anything? I think that's everything. That's the German player turn. Hopefully when I do this right, go to the next phase. It didn't automatically slip this, but that's alright. It goes to the Allied side now. The Allies get their turn to act and redo the phases, starting with the rally phase. And that's been 1/6 of the German turn, or 1/6 of the Germans' total turns for this scenario. And you can see that even though they advanced quite a bit, they still have quite an area, quite a bunch of stuff that they need to do yet. They're only going to be able to move their units 6 different times in this scenario, so they have to maximize them. Of course, we went a little overboard, but we're giving the Americans some targets to see if he'll come out of his little cubby holes and see if he'll come out to shoot at us. And hopefully, if he does come out to shoot at us, we'll be able to knock him down when he comes out, or better yet, defensive fire. We've got several units positioned for defensive fire. We're moving our vehicles up. So we're putting a little bit more pressure on the Americans now to see how they respond. So it'll be interesting to see what the Americans would do when it's their turn. We'll stand by for that. Another video coming up. That'll be the Allies Turn 1. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Again, if I missed anything, be sure to let me know. Thoughts, questions, or comments are always appreciated. And if you could give me a big thumbs up, let me know you appreciate what we're doing. If you like this, let me know so I can gauge whether or not there's interest in this. Gauge whether or not there's people that are interested in watching. Find out if all the effort, time, and trouble that it takes to do this, if there are people that actually are learning things and understanding things and enjoying it. So please do let me know. Till next time, this is ID Jester signing off.